was gonna call in sick today. Yahu at that store. At the new Sunday on Sunday without Pokaha, so I was gonna call in sick, but got through Otao, so Nituchi you, so I can do it too. So when I was about high school, when I was in high school, your counselor put out on bang pay luneng for our future. And so he took counselor me yet and he asked me this, no go, I'll bet her question. She let me know. What are you gonna do after high school? High school so you then you sound who you do, okay. After high school, I'm gonna go to college. I'm on college. After college, what are you gonna do? College okay, after college, you get masters, I'm gonna go get a job. Okay, and then plan after get a job. What is your plan after getting a job? Well, I will try to work hard. Maybe get a promotion. Maybe I move up and get some. And then okay, and then after that, what are your plans? Well, after that, maybe get married, maybe have kids, and then maybe buy a house, right? That's a very good plan. And then after that, after you work, what next? After maybe 30, 40 years, maybe I'll retire. You'll retire. Itu grandparent. Grandfather. And then maybe you'll retire. After that, you'll retire. And what about after retirement? You must sound I said, well, after retirement, you die. And that's where we are, right? That is it. We can plan, it all leads to one thing. And so, this world, they teach us to just plan. When you my very first job interview, where do you want to be 5 years from now? And so this whole world, we plan our wedding, plan, retirement plan, plan. But in Proverbs 21:5, it tells us that we plan to be prophet, but here, okay, where's the verse at? Yeah, and tells us to plan, but it doesn't tell us to focus all on planning. As we grow up, especially Hmong and Asian families, that's all our parents teach us. Study, have an education. And then they only give us 3 choices for our careers. You're either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. 不应去上个被我的养嘞，不主要个被我培养好是。And so they plan our lives for us and they tell us to plan our lives. But today the title 让哥哥要叫被录讲到的 Living the Manna Life. Oluneng Jumana. This doesn't mean that go bit somebody, it doesn't that go bit somebody, that she go ben bang, but plan accordingly to God's will. Go ben bang le van ju, y'all catch a bit. So you pay your olu name mana. We're gonna live a manna life. Pay your don't shy. We're gonna go back to Jikli Exodus talk. Mose your Jewish people thought who is it the kalu. And so we go back to Exodus. You know Jikli, not the people thought that the Israelites pay for 400 years. They were slaves for 400 years. And then and Moses went and he took them into the desert. Desert. And the desert, they were complaining and grumbling to Moses. You know who Exodus 16:2? They said this. Said, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. They would have rather died in Egypt than be free. Desert chai plan pay job pay more. And so pay la pay auto yang le ha pay sa ta o kya po ha you mo se ha po ha you ban ju. That she pay shy who pay lu name a lot of times when those ja pay you ban ju to yang ha. Ban ju pu pay mo claim or he gives us a job, but then we complain and say, you know, why am I not getting paid enough? Sometimes we buy a house, but then we complain that our house is not big enough. And we complain maybe about a mortgage, but that get a promotion. Maybe we get a promotion at the raise, but we complain about taxes. And so we are the same as the Israelites. The slavery, but then they complain. So if God wasn't a loving God, past this part. So he rained down manna. So for 40 years though of every single day. So new that she want to have more specific instruction. He gave them specific instruction. For them to just get what they need for one day, right? Store. They didn't listen, right? And so they try to get a whole bunch, and then what happened? And so God tells them, hey, just get what you need for today. If you trust me, tomorrow there will be a manna again. And every single day, and we trust in God and not worry so much about our future. God will provide us manna every single day too. And they didn't suffer. Every single day, all they did was go out and plan for that day, and God continued to provide for them. Moreover, he gave them some more instructions, right? On the 6th day, plan for 2 days. For the 6th day and the 7th day. Which is the Sabbath. And God tells them, say, on the Sabbath, I don't want you to do anything. Rest on the Sabbath. And that was his command. And he told them, he says, every day, and that's the only day that he allowed them to prepare for more, because and on the Sabbath, on the 6th day, and and so that is what he's talking about when he tells us that on the 7th day for us to rest. So that's the manner of life. As much as we plan, as much as we prepare, prepare future retirement, in a blink of an eye, all of that can go away. And we can see that from people we know here, right? Around us. Right? They plan and they build a house and they build their lives in this house. And within an hour, within 2 hours, your whole life is gone. And it is not set in stone. Forever. Right? Got to the Yamonu funeral and up in the Yamonu funeral this weekend. She's not even 40 years old, and she has 4 young kids. And just like that, she's leaving her kids. And so a lot of times, 401k, and okay, that I'm ready. We say, okay, when I get to this level, then I'm secure, then I'm ready. But we don't even know what tomorrow holds. I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing. But then, because my wife and I, we have 0 401k. 401k, because when you work for yourself, there's no savings for 401k. 401k, so I told her, I said, she can rest now, but to retire, then she has to go work so we can have health insurance. But a lot of times when we look at things in our lives, especially in 2008, the entire stock market crashed. And a lot of people that were planning their retirement, all of a sudden, they couldn't retire. Or retire July because they had to work another 10 years because all of the stock market shut down. In 2020 and 2021, right? COVID-19, no one could prepare, no one could plan for any of that. Shut down. Everything just kind of shut down. Mỗi từ giờ người giới tốt này he wanted to build his dream house. And he prepared for 30 years. It was a beautiful custom house. Marble floors and everything was custom. And right after he built it, 3 weeks after, and they don't know if it was bad electrical, why, but news anchor interview how are you feeling? And it's the news anchor. I learned one thing from this lesson, and that is that the only thing that's fireproof, and that is faith. And it's true. In James 4:14, it says this: why you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. We must put our trust in God. So we get past Exodus, and they live on manna for 40 years. We fast forward 1,400 years or 1,500 years. And Jesus told them that he is the bread of life. And he was feeding 5,000 people. And the thing is, the day after, those people came back. Because they weren't trying to see a miracle. They came to get more food. They wanted more food for the flesh. And that's why Jesus told them that he says that, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. Nếu ta nếu giờ cho mỏ cái chợ chú sa, giờ lấy từ mong cho nữa nó tại giờ chỉ trái plan, lấy từ mong cho nữa tại giờ chỉ thề. And it's all hands each in John 6:49 to 50. Yesu hands each cho tôi này nó nữa ta. Your ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness. Ta mệt te bu công giờ công nó manna in the wilderness, but they died. Ta chỉ bố luôn này là bố yên tổ là bố chỉ là ha. But here is the bread that comes down from heaven, which anyone may eat and not die. Để cú giờ cho mỏ cái luôn đầu. Heaven? What's heaven? Song đưa lưu. Cứ giờ cho mỏ cái lưu song đưa lưu. Anyone that eats will not die. Lên từ nó cho mỏ nó cứ giờ Giêsu nó tại giờ chỉ tổ. So Komochi, I'm going to give us 5 quick lessons to live our manner life. You pay your opelu name, Jumana, not there. Pay your shai chi, no, really fast. Hoti not there. We start each day gathering. Oleva chakapo. So no not there mong cha. Jumana no. And what does that mean? That means every morning, so go pray to God. Mong cha ban chu. Mong ta ban chu. On they go be go do good. Go your mong ban no ban how. Before you start your day, before you do anything, gather and go find the manna. Mong cha Yesu ku yo mana ku jai to ne su sha. Moi tu hata. Put your Bible on top of your phone. You more you pop on the go, chong you look phone. It talk go show no te go more go pop on the go it go some more phone. That's a good lesson. That's a lesson that I need to learn too, because my phone is right next to my nightstand, and that's the first thing. When I wake up, I grab my phone. Right? I grab my phone and I look at text messages. I look at what's going on in the world. That's why I'm going to tell you to put your Bible on top of your phone and start each day gathering the manna. Okay, pati all. The second thing to live a manna life is hold your plans with open hands. Y'all could come back who can name. Theyอยากจะcome back who can nameแต่ก็โดน I thought that you don't clutch it, you don't hold it tight, right? Your plans can change. Got your plan, got na new bang, got your plan, got that your olune jong no, your genial no, your olu jelly no. Hold it with the open hand, on the type take a page it can change. They say that to write your plans with a pencil. O kaluneng, ka shaw kaluneng, ka kambang, she do so, it's she a permanent marker. It's she do some big, you're permanent. Because a lot of those plans can change based on what God has planned for you. If I'm jumbang like count, you got that there's a go sata, go tumbang zonglo, that's shima, banju, bang, li yak to go. There was a lady named Susan Sparks. Susan Sparks. She went to Harvard Law School, Law School, probably one of the best law schools in the country, Harvard. And to graduate, to partner in one of the biggest law firms, lawyer. So law firm, John Baker le. It told no more Baker also not the new nhoi lu corner office la good. In that firm, she was one of the top partners. But then, thằng nó mua lại biết nhau, ở trong nó phải nói vào chữ hú nữa, nó phải nói vào chữ hú ta, cái nó mua ở vào chữ tết lệ nữa, cái nó cho sốอย่างchế. But then no argue. She argued with God every day. She said, God, I have my plan laid out. I wrote what I want to do. I wrote how I want to progress in life. Shao kia là ta lúc này cũng bao nhiêu cũng cần đợi lịch chàng cũng có ô hơi lịch chàng cũng có retire lịch chàng. But then văn chữ nào nu hu nữa, and so she finally gave in, and then tell it eventually long văn chữ lu. And so she let go of all of her plans that she wrote. And she started a nonprofit, an Apilu nonprofit. Thousands of people. And they tell them, my plan was good, but God's plan was better. They tell them, okay, moving on to number 3 on how to live a manner life. Practice Sabbath rest. Bây giờ tao shu nữ nhà. Văn chữ yên bố bê, hang khai bê hạt ta, bố mẹ ô kê nữ, trong nung ta xì. Nữ nhà nó tệ, yên nữ cử, mẹ bốklao chụp, mẹ bố chụp. For us to worship Him on the Sabbath day. Nữ họ nó tệ, văn chữ sang cà bê, cho sáng chú lý dạng, cho sáng chú mong khứ nọ khứ hào. Để kéo văn chữ, nu ngô chú văn chữ. Number 4, hati blau ke peyo olu nei mana. Replace worry with worship. Ke pe long zu ke, tsao zu ke nyo sha, lun da zu ke pe hao văn chữ. In Philippians 4:6, Philippians do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Có biết sao nhiều xa từ tây giảng luôn ba tên nó, có biết mong chờ văn chữ, hay mong ôn chào, hay mong muốn tây cứ bên nhiều xa họ thà cho nữa. And number 5, patichi kupeyo olune mana, is remember the Red Sea. Sĩ thọ cứ cho tôi này Israelites một sẽ tập cho quốc tử của Israel tới lưu. He parted the Red Sea. Nếu muốn từ kle hạt chỉ lá họ phai ở bất saleh lang cloud, and he did a lot of miracles. And so this number 5, for us to remember the Red Sea, the miracle. Remember the things that He's already done in our lives. You see, a lot of times we forget. A lot of our prayers were answered, and but we become like the Israelites. Thế kia là dùng lại cho tôi này Israel nó cứ kia là nó tăng tới chữ kỳ cứ văn chữ ô cho bé rồi. And so you pay your olu name mana we need to remember the Red Seas in our lives. Thế chữ kỳ cứ văn chữ tu ô cho bé lu name rồi. And tu ban cho bé rồi. And so I'll just end with one last verse. One bài văn cú chả cũng muốn sau. This is a verse that a lot of us know. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Cho nên đời mới chỉ cho bê kỳ. Cho họ bê kỳ, yên mua cái giàu cho bê kỳ lợi. Cái nhiều xa, nếu từ yên mua giàu cho nung đời. Jitsamon cha, Inyosha, Luzi. Each day has its own worry. And so let us think about our life and not plan too much, not worry too much about our future, not worry too much about retirement, not worry too much about what kind of things we're gonna have, and for us to just live each day like how God taught us to live that manna life. So that's all I have for us today.